All right. So you said my name, right, Umar?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, wonderful to be here with you guys. I think it's almost 16 years since I passed out of the college, and happy to see Abhinav sir, senior to me. Good evening, sir. So just to talk about my career, I mean, I kind of divide my
Let
career
me
path
ask you
in
this
three
thing,
buckets.
Sanjeev. Sorry to interrupt, but isn't it weird you're not even calling your fathers alike in office as sir? Why call me? So
These guys just started calling me sir, so I wanted to have that privilege with someone else. Don't blame me.
absolutely, please, I would
I'm
really
glad
request you
someone
call my
pointed
name.
out. I'm
Yeah,
glad someone pointed out.
I'm not even
Thank you,
calling my
Mr.
grandfathers alike as sir. So please do address by name. I'll be very happy. Thank you.
Fantastic. Yeah, we'll keep that in mind. All right. So just talking about my career, I think I divide my career in three buckets: pre-MBA, during MBA, and post-MBA. So pre-MBA was pretty much very uneventful for me. 3 years, one job, two roles, a couple of countries, and then the MBA thing happened. I think that's when the real stuff started to happen in terms of experiencing a new kind of audience, a new kind of job role, different kind of people coming as your peers in the class. And that's when you realize, right, that the engineering student who had a leg up in cracking CAT and getting into IIM don't doesn't really hold much ground, right? Because your app gets kicked by the CAs of the world who kind of kick you in financial accounting, cost accounting, and all that. So a lot of stuff happened there. But most importantly, what happened during my MPA was during my internship. So I got an internship with Citi investment banking role, which was like the go-to role for most MBA students. And despite it being my dream job, I figured it was such a nightmare working 16 to 18 hours a day. It doesn't get you anywhere. So I was so thankful in hindsight that I landed the job in my internship and not as my full time job because I realized that this is something that I definitely don't want to do. And that kind of changed the course of my career. Another thing that happened during internship was got a chance to interact with Vikram Pandit, who was the CEO of Citi at that time. He was visiting India and he visited us. And one thing he said at that point in time, which kind of stuck with me, and it largely guided my career choices since that time. So he said something very interesting. He said, like, don't expect grow by excelling at your current job or role, but by getting exposure to something that you intend to land. So most people, if you look around, they get promoted by doing something that they are doing today. But based on the excellence or the kind of outcomes that you have driven in your current role, that doesn't really guarantee you success in a future role. So that's how it kind of panned out after internship, finished my MBA, kind of landed Microsoft as the placement, which I believe, Kamini, you are also a part of similar initiative that they started in 2012, which they used to call MACH, Microsoft Academic College Hires. And a lot of privilege comes with this kind of hire that Microsoft does. But it kind of gets a little monotonous also after a while. So I spent a lot of time in the startup industry after working for Microsoft for a couple of years. Moved out and worked with a lot of technology companies in the banking sector. And after a couple of years, I kind of settled down in UK, where I started working as an entrepreneurial role with a fintech research company. And at that time, fintech was not a name, right? It was just coming up. In UK, there were a couple of neo banks who started. So got a chance to work with a couple of them. And that's the kind of career that I've had. Last year, I moved back to India, started working for PwC. But after you're tasted working in a startup culture, it kind of takes its toll to kind of manage a bigger corporate like PwC. So last year in November, I actually moved out of PwC and started something of my own. which is more around fintech research and advisory, where we get a chance to work with a lot of startups, investors, and banks who are doing something on the innovation side of the thing. So that's pretty much my journey so far. Happy to listen to what others have to say. Over to you, Suman.
Thanks a lot, Sanjeev sir. Yeah, that was very interesting to know and a very nice perspective about being on the lookout for what you can probably get while you're at the present place. And I also personally like kind of relate to that idea. So very nice to know other folks having a similar perspective. So thanks for the introduction. Maybe very quickly we can move to Abhinav, sir here.
Abhinav was
So
fine,
over to
by the
you.
way.
Yeah.
Okay. So, folks, good evening and good morning as well. Firstly, thank you so much for considering me as a last minute patient, the kind of usher that we got connected. Uh, my name is Abhinav Chaudhary. I'm a 2006 pass out. That was a pioneer batch of the MBA from the campus. Um, there are, as I reflect upon how I ended up in MBA, it was not by design, of course. Um, Bit of a history to it. Uh, when I was doing my undergrad, it was in chemical engineering. Um, there was a huge desire for me to specifically be a chef personally. And when I was preparing for engineering, I used to live in Mundra to study. And believe me or not, I used to work in RK Puram. We had a lot of dhabas in RK Puram. That's where I used to work on the ground. I used to cook food. I used to wash utensils, clean tables, etc. Not because I needed money. It was just that I needed to work on it. I belong to the family of professors, and therefore the idea of being a barber chief didn't do very well with anybody. And hence they said that you can't be doing it. Hence you need to pursue the lateral path, as they say. But during my undergrad, I was very active in teaching. So I used to teach while I was in second year. I used to teach the C++ of those days, Robert LaForge, the book he had on the programming to the final year students. And I graduated from Agra, so that's what I used to do these classes. And I think it was somewhere during that teaching, and I used to teach in a lot of schools, and I used to visit lot many those days Aptech and NIITs and IIT. I don't know how many credits I remember, but those were the centers. That was the time for all the Java programmers what we have today in demand. And I used to go and lecture them a lot, teach them a lot on the softer aspects of yourself, either it's about conducting yourself or in general how to handle yourself. So I think there was a natural connect of doing those stuff, and somewhere it made me believe that I'm not made for the technical stuff. I'm made for some Jan stuff, and hence my immediate reaction was that MBA could be the stuff what I want to do. Interesting story. I enrolled myself at Career Launcher, and I didn't have money. I had some exigency during in my family during those days. I lost my father, etc., and then there was a huge financial burden. But instead of going into the melodramatic side of the story, let me come back to the reality. So I proposed career launch. Hey guys, you need admissions, and you go to every engineering college in Agra, nearby Agra, to pull in the crowd. Let me be your guy. So they used to take me as an analyst from Goldman Sachs and used to put me in front of the crowd saying, here's an example what an MBA can do for you. And I used to speak all the glorious stories about what MBA has done for me. So by doing so, I got them some 250 plus admissions, and owing to which they made my course free of cost. I think that's where I believe that, well, I can do something about it. And unfortunately, I didn't really prepare for MBA. Meaning I didn't really formulate it there. I just gave the cat um, uh, just as an attempt. Not a great percentile, but the motivation to join Triple ITA, it was simply because my wife and then my batchmate, she also appeared for GATE, and then she got admission in Tech in Triple ITA, and hence I followed her. That's how I ended up in Triple ITA. It was not by chance. However, I have to be very honest, and it's all an honest admission, so there's nothing made up. I was the only non-IT candidate in my batch because even after you have written CAT, you have to do a local admission test, which was pretty much oriented around computer science. And I was the only non-IT guy coming from chemical engineering background, where I used to teach computer science. So I think these events or these coincidences made me feel that I can deal with this. I can sell, I can deal with this. And one of the predomination everybody had that if you can do anything besides technical, I think MBA is the answer. Long story short, the first few months told me nothing is getting into my head. Even though we had heavy duty professors, they were all new, they were all attempting to build this thing. And after the first month, I remember first 2 months, I started teaching again near a village nearby Postal, which I think still is, last I remember. And I used to take classes for the village students. So, net, I think my journey in MBA was absolutely no different than anybody else, wherein it was rather driven by lots of hallucination than actually any practical basis. I was a rookie. You see, you just did your BTech and you were swayed by certain things in your life that you do something greater than an engineer, and hence you should do an MBA. And MBA, you are pretty much spending your time doing everything else but the studies. And that's how, and we were the first batch, so pretty much it was all on us to get everybody placed, internship. And I think collectively we take pride. My batch, I don't know if there's somebody here or not, but collectively we take a lot of pride that we spent a huge amount of time at Tripatis. And those days, Triple IT sponsored the BSNL PCO cards for us. The only job which we had, which was the highlight of the MBA, was to sit at the PCO and just dial in the companies. And there is no shying away from the fact that during those days, BTech and MBA shared very good relationship. It was a sarcasm, and therefore the availability of the resources to the MBA folks was the least in comparison to the acceptability within the campus, and also somewhere, are we equals or not? It's a fresh batch, fresh people, and we were actually hooligans, quite honestly. We have taken the entire canteen by hand. So we got, I think, multiple internships to everybody and multiple opportunities for a job for each and every one. I think it was a time when we had 2 to 3 offers for everybody in our batch. So I think we did pretty well. That's how I ended up in doing it. Now, many years today, and summarizing that, today I work at Ernst & Young. I'm an HR partner for the digital transformation practice nationally. Whole couple of alliances as I head, and I've been teaching from past 8 years at IIM Bangalore, IIM Lucknow, and IIM Bangalore. And I teach about 2 to 3 subjects. If anybody listening here who is very keen to know what MBA does to you, I think what I do today, quite banally speaking, has no bearing on my education. But if there is something which I relate to, there's a pattern. This course, it just elevated that pattern. And pattern was that we got to do something pretty different. And I think at some point in time, there was risks being taken. And being at Ernst & Young, I had a fantastic journey so far. Made the youngest partner in the firm for the tech consulting. And the only thing which I can recollect is that the ability to use what you have done with the relevance of the time you are in. Otherwise, pretty much everything is the same. I haven't really seen anything remarkable in anyone, any candidate coming in from any MBA institutes across the world. But what differentiates them is who they are and what makes them who they are. And so there's a lot of questioning which has to go around yourself. That do you carry those traits? Whether you like it or don't like it, some of the institutes in our country, they become a default filter to reach out to a certain critical mass, which our average IQ is pretty intelligent. So it has nothing to do with the pedigree of the institute. It just elevates your general IQ. So a response from corporate to go to an institute and say, hey, listen, I'm going to hire from A institute or B or a C institute. In essence, we are saying the folks who have reached there have crossed certain things to reach there. So I'm only looking at a filtered mass, and I'm there picking about 2 or 3 folks. So my cost of recruitment is by design is very, very high. Same applies to any institute, whether you do from Rotterdam, Rochester, and I'm not talking of the Ivy Leagues here because the positioning of those institutes are very, very different. And hence I'm not comparing. But in the environments we are in, we find folks coming in from those ecosystem as well. So the question is that and at this point in time, I must recommend a chapter from the book called Art of Thinking Clearly. The chapter says, is everyone passing out from the Harvard is intelligent, or only the intelligent folks going to Harvard? I think it's chapter number 3. It's a 3-page chapter. I really recommend that to any student I teach and any of the intern I take or anything the recruits I take, because that tells you the biases which we are driven with for the courses such as MBA or any other course for that matter, which is quite surrounded by a lot of fascination. At the end of the day, we are all working, and you have seen how the reality really retrieving they will come from. So nothing fancy about my journey so far, really, but that's what is in play.
Thanks, Avinash. So, Sanchit, how has your journey been? Do you share, the path that Abhinav has described?
Yeah, thanks, Abhinav, for the excellent introduction. So my journey has been pretty straightforward. I graduated from Triple IT in 2012. It's been 9 years since I graduated, and I was not very good in the technical part. So neither in IT nor in EC, I was not interested in coding nor the electrical aspect. So, and I was good, relatively decent in the non-technical aspect. So my path forward was pretty clear that I have to do an MBA. Now, I didn't want to go do an MBA without getting some job experience first. So either the option was to do an MBA after a couple of years or do it right now. And I was pretty clear in my head that if I start studying after a couple of years, I won't be in that zone. So I opted for the GMAT route. I gave the GMAT in my final year of engineering. So in the final semester, in the 8th semester, when people are typically doing their internships, I was preparing for my GMAT. So I gave the GMAT, and that score is valid for 5 years. So post my engineering, I worked with Barclays for 3 years. And then I did my MBA from ISB Hyderabad. And during that time, I had got the admission, and I deferred it a couple of times. So finally, after 3 years, I did my MBA, which was, I think, a very good experience for anyone on this forum, not just for the networking, but also for your own personality development, and in general, just having a lot of parties in life. But post my MBA, I graduated from MBA in 2017, and I've been working with, I've worked with Swiggy and Oyo, who are in the startup space, and now I'm working as a product manager with Walmart, so on the MNC route. So I just kept my introduction short so that there are any questions from the group, probably later on. I think that is on the agenda. Yeah. Thanks, Umang.
Yeah, no, this was definitely very interesting, and I do want to come back to you maybe once we are done with the introductions, particularly on when we should be doing it, like when we get a chance, or plan it out well. So I'll definitely come back to you on this one. Kamini,
पर लेकिन वो लोग भी 4-5 साल एक्सपीरियंस करने के बाद जाते थे.
And thanks a lot
इतना आसान नहीं है.
Abhinav.
या तो तुम्हारी 20-22 साल की एज में खोल लोगे, या तो फिर तुम 30-32
as
35.
like at the Triple ITA forum, like the Sarah ma'am becomes like a default. So thanks a lot to Abhinav sir, Sanjeev sir, and Sajju sir too for the introduction. Really happy to be here as well and sharing my experiences. So, and Sanjay sir, really glad that you met, very candidly spoke, right? That because you thought you were not interested in coding or good in coding, so that's why non-technical path was kind of obvious for you. I think I would also relate a similar to my story. In fact, the decision to do an MBA was made prior to when going for Triple IT. I knew I wanted to be in a job roles which are more customer facing, front facing, leadership roles. I really didn't imagine myself doing hardcore coding and behind the computers. I always loved talking, which I think Abhinav sir also pointed out, right? That the passion to love and talk and teach and just interacting, being with people around that was the main like motivating factor. And I think the perception that we had in the beginning is that MBA will give you that kind of life. So that's how it all started. So during my MBA also we had this group of like in my cohort, we were many who were aspiring for this same path after our graduation. So yeah, we did join Career Launcher also in Allahabad. We used to have like weekend classes, although no one ever studied. We used to just go to Career Launcher and then chill in the weekend, like in what was that place in the central area of Allahabad. I forgot what it used to be called. So yeah, but then
I think it was Civil Lines, like that.
Civil Lines, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to just roam around in Civil Lines. So I think, but towards the final year, seeing everybody getting placement and all, just got a lot of pressure to get placed. And I think one thing that I will really like to share here is that not to get that pressure of placement in your final year. I think a lot of us make that mistake, and easier said than done. But we feel a lot of pressure of getting the job right immediately after our graduation without even thinking what kind of roles we want to pursue, where we really want to be like in life, what kind of things we want to do. So we don't give that much of thought and introspection into our life after graduation, right? So I took my first job in Verizon. It was a campus placement. I wasn't happy. I wanted to switch. So I made my switch like quite soon, and came into like consulting company. So I first joined ZS Associates and then McKinsey in Gurgaon. So I think the circle or the network that I got, they become more and more from the people who were from these MBA backgrounds or business backgrounds, and that even fascinated me more to pursue this path. I did give CAT a couple of times, but then we all know like CAT is like you have to be like really dedicated and not distracted. So, but after a while, then after knowing that how crucial work experience is as well, so I thought to go the GMAT route as well. But I gave my GMAT quite late. Well done to you, Sanju sir, that you gave it in your final year itself. I think that must have like great relief. And this, I think we must recommend to our current students also, if they are planning of MBA route. It is like it will be great if they can take the GMAT in the final year as well, because once you start on your job, it becomes really difficult to take out the dedicated time to prepare for GMAT. So yeah, I gave my GMAT while I was in McKinsey, and then I was initially hesitant about moving out of India, and I was like, I want to live in India. But then when I actually started exploring and talking to more people and figured out that, okay, Singapore has really good colleges as well, like NUS brand-wise, I think it's the top like 13 college, MBA college in the world. So when I did my research and talked and went out and met people, then I realized, okay, I should try the option of outside of India also. And I think that was a really great decision, because the exposure, the network, and everything that you get by getting out of your comfort zone and then exploring new things, new experiences, that really like broadens your horizon. So I joined NUS, National University of Singapore, for my MBA in 2018, graduated 2019, and then since then I have been working with Microsoft. And Sanjeev sir, maybe sometime even I will get bored with the corporate life and perhaps start my own company. That's the aspiration, right? Like all of us, we have that somewhere in us, that technology keeda, the coder keeda in us. Like we want to transform things, make some products which will change everyone's life. So I hope my experience of technology plus MBA will help me to sometime in the future land that path as well. So,
yeah, thanks a lot, Kamini ma'am, for your introduction. And it's very interesting, and I think we'll get back to some parts of it as we move forward to the question and answers part. And I also like kind of get the hint that like I've been a part of like the technical side of things, and I also worked at ZS for a year. So there's a lot of like pros and cons and back and forth that keeps going on in our minds all the time. So yeah, let's get back to that in a little bit. Very quickly, let's move to Mohit sir. Let's talk about him in a little bit of detail, and then we can kick off the question and answer session. So that's something we look forward to.
Thank you, Ashar. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible.
Perfect. Thank you. So I will try to keep it very short because Sanjit already summarized well for me. So 2011 batch pass out. Knew I can't make my career in IT or EC. Was very bad at programming. So I knew MBA is an exit option for me. But similar to Sanchit, wanted to gain some work experience before I get into MBA. So worked with Cisco for 2.5 years, network consulting role. Decided to do my MBA. Again, was confused whether to do my MBA within India or move outside. Confusingly applied for gave my CAT exam. Luckily got into MBA. Along with MBA, I cleared my CFA, all 3 levels of CFA, and joined JP Morgan as an investment banking analyst. I heard earlier JP Morgan investment banking analyst, similar story, 16 hours work. But fortunately, I like that work. I like the numbers, the feel of getting the deal executed, pitching to the client. So decided to continue my career with investment banking. Was with JP Morgan for 2 years. Most of the time was spent in Mumbai and some of the time in Australia, Sydney. Decided to quit JP Morgan and move to Dubai, where I moved buy side. Buy side is the investment role, where I joined a real estate company, their family office. Again, pretty different culture compared to JP Morgan. More like a startup culture at Damac. Was responsible for real estate investments of the company in Europe, majorly Western Europe. Was in Dubai for 3 years, and then last year moved back to India when I joined Ernst & Young as in their investment banking division. So still continuing with investment banking division, and hope to make a long-term career out of it.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Thanks a lot. And it was pretty brief. Thanks, Mohit sir. So very quickly, I would also like Umang sir to introduce himself for the audience here. Would be good to understand a little bit about his background as well. So maybe, yeah, over to you, Umang sir.
Thanks, Ashar. So I graduated from IIIT in 2014. And joined for MBA straight after that. Graduated from Calcutta in 16, joined Microsoft, and have been there ever since. So not really like a exciting sort of a thing. Probably even joining Calcutta was like, this was the best thing that I had on hand. Like any of the offers that I got in the campus or otherwise, this was probably like the best thing. So decided to go away with this. And this is what even I was talking about, Sanchit sir. Like, when do you really do an MBA, right? When you get a chance, like you gave CAT, you get like, your interview goes good and you're given an offer. Do you join straight up, or like the option that you took, hold on, I'm going to defer it for a couple of years. Maybe I want to try something out and go in there with some experience. And even for my batch, I guess 20% of it was a bit like me, like without any work experience. But then 80% of the batch which came in with a lot of diverse backgrounds, and I believe without them it wouldn't have been half the experience that it was.
Yeah, I agree, Umang. I think MBA as a program is best done if you have certain experience under your belt, because you are able to appreciate the lectures and contribute to the lectures a lot more. So I agree to that.
I mean, if somebody is looking to do an MBA in India, especially, right, when you have like so much competition, particularly for those certain schools, which will carry that.
Yeah.
Like, how realistic is it to be able to wait and let go of an opportunity and say, hey, no, I want to come back 2 years down the line or 4 years down the line, and only then do I want to do an MBA, because it's really going to add value as an education. Because there are a lot of other factors. I mean, MBA remains an expensive course. People do it not just for education, but also for what you get after that. Both in terms of job opportunities as well as the financial opportunities probably that open up to you because of plethora of reasons.
Yeah, that makes sense. So thanks a lot, Umang sir. And very briefly, I'll also talk about myself and why like I'm kind of excited to be in this session. And so I graduated in 2016 and got a job through campus at GS and worked there for a year. And it was primarily like consulting for like pharmaceuticals, but the thing was the specific projects I was a part of, it became very like tiring, and it was like 16-hour shifts as was mentioned before in the discussion. And I got a little bit bogged down by the idea of consulting there and chose to move to like a more technical direction. So I came here for my master's again in electrical at Georgia Tech, and I've been in the industry for like almost a couple years now. And I'm at that stage, and I believe like some of the people in the audience would be in that stage again, who are like evaluating where they are and like evaluating what could be like possible next steps, and would an MBA make sense? Not maybe not now, maybe like after a few more years, and just trying to navigate through the idea of, okay, this is what the technical world now looks like, and moving forward, like these are the options. And would be good to like get a window into like what the consulting work looks like. And maybe I think that would be a bridge where we can start or kick off our like question and answer session. So maybe let's get started with the question, as I think Umang sir already mentioned, like for, and this is for all the panel members alike, and would be good to like get idea of what you feel about this. And you can always like mention if it has been like pretty similar to someone who already stated the reason. But yeah, let's move to the first question here. Like, when in your career path you decided to pursue an MBA, and like what factors like really triggered this decision at that stage? So yeah, like this is the question for all the panel members, and maybe for Umang sir, you as well. I think some of us have already like some of you have already addressed this, but to like formalize the exact opinion about this question, kind of. Yeah, let's maybe get started with Abhinav sir. Like, yeah.
Thank you, Asher. I have already jumped the gun, and I have already shared what made me do my MBA. But if I can take this as a segue into something which I really want to convey in the current context, because the relevance of the question is the relevance of the time as well. So, my reflection on this whole idea of pursuing a management course, whether you do MBA, GTBM, or any other sort of management, that what is the real purpose, and why do you want to do it? What is that you are missing? And in doing so, the manifestation of your attempts to find that purpose will define what you get as an output of doing this course. Come to think about it, most of the times the reasoning for doing MBA is nothing short of escapism. And let's be honest, this is the fact. I'm just reflecting on certain data points, and I'm not sure how many of you will really be apologize. I'm very sure you'll be very closest data point. I'm seeing that the demand of, or the expectation from a management professional in past 5 years is more tech centric than anything else. Therefore, the question which is from the business perspective, which I believe all the current students must consider, is what is that you will put on the table which will make your proposition more exciting than in comparison to anybody who is more closer to the technology. And we all know that how much soever we want to fantasize about the MBA, today if you were given a choice to hire a full stack or a Java professional, you would prefer that than actually an MBA grad. Let's say for a program manager role. There's a reason behind it. So, therefore, at least the academic institutions where I am engaged with, there is a very conscious effort to modify the course content so that it becomes more tech oriented than actually a pure play general management. So if you were to look, and I'm just elevating it to another level by saying that why only think MBA? Why not think about any master's course which either brings you to a specialized tech or in specialized managerial aspect around tech? And we have some of the examples around the world. Come to think about Alt School. Alt has been specializing in at least designing the courses around which are more closer to the tech. So the relevance of doing the course, as I mentioned, is the function of its acceptance in the times you are living. So if you're still going to be studying Peter Drucker, well, you can all take offense to it, but Mr. Drucker is not going to help you in current times. It's a fact that go more closer to your the tech is going to help. So, Asher, I'm not directly answering to your question because I would have done that, but I'm just taking an advantage of telling everybody that if you're already in MBA, if you're considering an MBA, my simple guideline is this MBA was always envisaged as an intervention to your existing career. So the key word is existing running career, and help you to move from floormanship, because that was a concept, floormanship, to the first floor. So first floor where the foreman supervisors used to sit and oversee the work being done. So what's the point of doing an MBA when you have just started tasting the work and you're still developing how the concepts about how business runs?
Okay, so yeah, I think I would break you off for a little bit,
Yeah,
but I think I
I
got
get
the
paid
main
for
point.
talking, Asher, so you better
Yeah.
break.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine. I understand all of the folks here are MBAs and like talking a lot, but yeah, the thing is, just to sum it up, I think your perspective from your present stage is to also focus on not just like the general management idea, but also think about like what specialized stuff we can bring on the table, and would MBA really help us to do that? Like answering some questions like these would help us navigate through like all this confusion, which is pretty cool. Yeah. So very quickly, I'd like to just move the baton to Mohit sir here and try to get his like thoughts about the this perspective and the question in general as well. Yeah.
I think for me, I was pretty clear even when I was in Triple IT that I want to do my MBA. Reason number one, yes, I was not really interested in technical part. Second, I was always interested in the numbers, the finance, stock side. In fact, I had a small portfolio even when I was doing my engineering. So I used to follow the charts and technical analysis. So I was always interested in finance, and hence MBA was a correct choice for me. But the problem, particularly in India, when to do MBA, is it's tough to pinpoint, right? Like someone said earlier, if someone wants to do his MBA after 2 years of experience, it's tough to crack the green colleges in first attempt, right? So when to do MBA is a tricky part. Ideally, I think it makes sense to have some sort of work experience before getting into MBA. But then clearing the competitive exam in first attempt is a tricky part. But not only clearing, but getting the green college is a tricky part. So I think given a choice, I would consider my MBA after 2-3 years of experience.
Yeah, thanks, Mohit sir. Yeah, I think that's a good point. Like, I think while we are in the industry, it kind of starts giving us like more clarity about these are the type of specific growth ladders, and how, like, if we want to transition to something different, or if we want to like take the game to another level within the same domain, that it might like help us out. So maybe, yeah, that is also one of the nicer points. Let's move to like Kamini ma'am, like if you have any 2 cents to add here.
Yeah. So I would just mention one aspect from my MBA course here. Like when we just joined in, we had this 1 week of like ramp up program sort of, and then part of one of these program was to just draw our lives, like how do we see the life in next 5 years or 10 years. And while doing it, it felt like why they are making us do this. Like I don't know, I don't know what I want to do like in next 2 years or 3 years, and it's changing so much. So how do I know like what I want to do in like such long aspect of time, right? But after doing that exercise, you realize like when you really do that exercise nicely and you introspect and you realize what you really want from your life, what skills you bring to the table, like what you are good at, what gives you happiness, and what kind of roles, what kind of job will give you happiness. So I think figuring all of that is really important before jumping on, like, whether I want to do an MBA or not. So just make all that very clear in your mind. And I feel like MBA is like a really great investment. Like, it's a huge investment. So don't just do it for, just for the sake of doing it. I think the same skills you can earn like by a different route also. Like, MBA gives you what? Network. So you can go and reach out to people on LinkedIn. You can go and reach out to people in general in life. If you're ready to do all of that effort, then no need to invest in an MBA, right? So just think of what are the skills and what things you want from your life, in your job in general. And when you really feel, I think MBA just gives you like an easy path. So you join this program and then you get to meet people from all over they come from these diverse experiences and profiles. So whatever that you will learn the harder way, I feel that you pay a price to learn it in a shorter time in an easier way. So it's for the person introspection to really think that what they want from their life. So that's why I think I did not do that. Like, when I was there, in fact, even before joining Triple IT, I did not know what I really wanted from my undergrad. But I hope our education system becomes like that we are made to really introspect what we want from our lives in 5 years, 10 years, or whatever. Yeah. So I would suggest just don't do it because every friend is doing, and also don't do it for the money. Like, a lot of people think that MBA will give them a very great package or great money. I think in fact it's the opposite. In the coding world, developers are paid even very handsomely. They are being paid. So that should not be your motivation at all. Your motivation should be what kind of roles or skills you have and what value you want to bring to the table. Yeah, I think that's it.
Right. So at this point, I would like to take a question from crowd as well, which is on pretty similar lines. So what sense does it make to take up a tech job right after college, right? And then leave it and go do an MBA. So what sort of a value add are we looking at when we are doing this job and then going for our MBA? So maybe Sanjeev sir, if you would like to take on this one.
Sure. So I think I did pretty much that. Worked in a very hardcore tech role for 3 years, and then I went to do my MBA. And if I reflect on my experience, a lot of you mentioned that, right? You are not really being able to run away from a tech role even after MBA. It's not possible in today's world, so you should not even think about that. Doesn't matter whether you are looking to get into a middle management role or even a top management role. And just to share my experience, so a couple of years back, I consulted with a big private bank in India, and we were just talking about the CXOs. And one of the expectations from them was to train the CXOs on tech aspects. So can you imagine someone who is 25, 30 years of experience in the banking industry with B-school degrees from the best of colleges across the world, and they wanted to understand what's happening in the tech role, and that included even Excel skills. So I'm sure the Big Four would be aware. There are a lot of initiatives that's happening in all the Big Fours, both the accounting firms as well as the McKinseys and BCCs of the world, where they get contracts from bigger banks and bigger firms to train their C-suite people on tech aspects. So that is my first take, that if you get bored of tech and you think MBA will be a respite, it's not going to happen. And it shouldn't happen, because we are living in a world which is driven by tech. We use tech, right from the moment we wake up till we go to sleep. So that's not something that will help. What actually helps when you do MBA is actually you get to see the outcome of tech, not just the application and implementation of the tech side, right? So you're able to understand how technology changes people's lives, how technology makes you build businesses. And that's where a lot of people that I have spoken to from the startup world, they mention that even though they haven't done MBA from a B school, they have taken a course on Coursera, they have done YouTube courses, Udemy courses on certain specialized skills that we get taught in MBA. And that certainly helps because MBA is a package, right? It's like most Indians, when we were doing our engineering, we were not sure what we were expecting from our engineering, whether we wanted to do an engineering in computer science or civil engineering. We all, all of our dream companies used to be Google, Microsoft, and Amazon. Doesn't matter which specialization you were doing things in. It's pretty much the same in MBA today. That doesn't matter what specialization you are going to do in, you will have to find a way to be comfortable with that. And frankly speaking, Triple IT is, at least in my time, it was one of the top colleges of the country, and I'm sure it would be still today. So it's an advantage if you kind of marry the tech skill that you have already learned in the college and kind of build on top of it to understand the outcome side of the technology in your MBA. Go with that expectation that how you can build a business on technology rather than going with an expectation that you will get into a job which doesn't require you to give this tech day in day out. It wouldn't happen.
Right. Thanks, Sanjeev, sir. All right. So from when to do an MBA, we'll move on to where to do your MBA from. Like spend a few minutes quickly on this. One key, question that any MBA aspirant currently faces is whether they want to do their MBA from India or abroad, right? And what are the pros and cons when you're doing your MBA from India versus when you're doing it from abroad, and what should be the top considerations? So maybe we'll start with Kamini ma'am, and then we'll move around.
Okay. So I think, yeah, it depends. As I said, like to begin with, even I thought I'll do it from India. But then actually when I made myself think and talk to people, I realized like NUS would be a much better option for me. And I'm so happy I took that decision. Because of course I can go back to India and I will eventually, like I aspire, or I hope to go back to India someday. But like gaining this exposure or experience that will come to me from having studied abroad, the cohort that I was cohort that I have, I think the same thing I'll not be able to match in India, right? So that really worked out, having this Asia exposure, working with like Chinese, Japanese, Koreans, or even like a lot of people from the US or Europe also come to school in Singapore. So I definitely would value MBA from abroad, but I think it depends on person to person, what's their criteria and what's their aspiration. For somebody who would want to do a job in India, I think definitely makes sense to do MBA from India itself. And other than, I think the other criteria that are there, such as the fee actually is also, I think everybody would agree, it's like a very big criteria when making a decision. The schools in US or Europe, they are like quite expensive, and it takes like a huge burden of amount to think of, like, risking everything, taking that huge loan and going for abroad studies in US or Europe. But yeah, I think a lot of people who apply, that's why, like, apply, give your GMAT earlier, start applying in applications like really soon, so that you can get some financial aid or scholarships also. And like for NUS or NTU in Singapore, they are quite comparable when it comes to expenses versus ISB at least. So I think that's why it made my decision easier to choose NUS. And like I think ROI wise also it really works out for you. So yeah, but I think it all depends on your own criteria, right? Do that pros and cons, make a chart. What are your criteria and which school will match to your criteria?
Yeah, that's a good point actually. Cost is definitely a very important factor, and all of us are from diverse backgrounds as well. So yeah, like thanks for providing your perspective about getting the exposure internationally. Maybe let's have like an answer from Sanchit sir as well, based on his like choices and how he thinks about them. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Sanjeev
thanks.
sir, I would also like you to maybe touch upon, how different is preparing for, let's say, a school which takes admission through GMAT versus some that take through CAT or through other sources. So does it put like too much load on you? Should you target and what?
Sure. Okay. Thank you. So I'll take the two parts. First part is whether we should do it from India and abroad. I think Kamini summarized it really well. I'll just try to take my stab at it. There are three factors that people should consider. One is obviously where do you want to settle in the long term. Second is the finances that are available to you. And third is the kind of exposure and network that you want. Now, there are a lot of myths surrounding this in people's minds. For example, where do you want to settle? An MBA abroad will definitely help you settle abroad much faster, because directly from college you'll be closer to the jobs. Let's say if you're doing it from US, you'll be closer to jobs in America, and it will be easier for you to settle much faster in America. But even if you do it from India, it'll probably take you a couple of years, but eventually roles open up where you can move abroad. So that is something that you might want to consider is when do you want to settle abroad? Or if you, on the converse point is, if you do an MBA from abroad, there are very high chances that because you have to repay your loan, you will have to stay outside for a while. So if you want to stay in India, then you probably want to do it from India. Second is the network and exposure. Obviously, if you're doing it from abroad, you get access to a more diverse set of alumni base, and alumni base is a very helpful thing for any MBA college, because that is what you leverage for all your future jobs. Like placements and all are just the starting point, as Kamini also said. But eventually what happens is what helps you is your network base. So an MBA from abroad will give you a very rich network that probably an MBA from India can't match. However, like if you target the top Indian colleges like IIMs and ISB, their network base is still very widely spread out, which gives you at least one of the best jobs in India, and then eventually going abroad. The third part is obviously the finances, which you have to take into account, because that is the hard fact of life. An MBA abroad does cost you a lot of money, and you will have to stay there for a while to repay that loan. But the kind of jobs that you get from an MBA abroad are also well paying, which you can repay your loan in a couple of years. So that should not be your top concern. If you are comfortable putting that amount of money upfront as a loan, then you should consider that. However, my thought process here was that I wanted to do it from India because I wanted to spend in rupees and then earn in dollars. That was my thought process, because if you do it from a good college from India, it will just take you a couple of more years, but you can reach abroad whenever you want. So like it's been 4 years for me since I graduated, and I can move to US whenever I want because I'm working with Walmart. So at least in my head, it was that the smarter thing to do is to spend your MBA in rupees and then earn in dollars whenever the chance presents. So that is my take on it. That's why I did from ISB. But the thing is, if you're considering India versus abroad, in India, just target the top colleges, because that is where the cream lies. If you're doing it, do it from like either or whatever you think are the top colleges from India. I will not take any names. Versus doing from a second tier college abroad. Don't go for a second tier college abroad compared to a top college in India. That does not make sense. So that is my take on this. Coming to Umang's point on how do you prepare, I would go out and say that GMAT is a bit easier than CAT, and that is the truth, or at least that is my impression of it. Also, the second point in this discussion is that CAT has a lot of the kind of competition that you have in CAT and the kind of score that you need to get, like 99.9 or whatever that cutoff is, that is too hard. That if you're up for that preparation and you think you will definitely get it, then definitely go for CAT, because there are many students who are trying to get into n number of colleges like the IIMs and all from CAT, whereas doing it from GMAT gives you access to like a lot of colleges across the world. And in India, I think if you take the top colleges, there are still very few colleges who accept GMAT. But the con to it is that GMAT is definitely easier. There are just a math section, a verbal section, and then some smaller reasoning sections. So I personally prepared for just like 2 months and was able to get a good score in GMAT. However, GMAT focuses a lot on your English skills. So a lot of Indians, what I've seen across around me, they kind of falter in the English part of GMAT. So do take that into consideration if you are planning to go for GMAT. Umang, I hope I was able to answer some part.
And point for CAT versus GMAT, I think the good thing about GMAT is also that you can take like a couple of times in a year.
Yeah.
But CAT you can only take once a year. So if you don't make it once a year, then your like entire 1 year plan is delayed, right? So that's a major difference as well.
Yeah, and the other point is just one more point, Umang. The preparation for CAT and GMAT are slightly different. I would not say that if you prepare for CAT, you're already automatically prepared for GMAT. So just that is something.
Yeah, and believe like the way in which the colleges which take admissions through both these tests also focus on, I believe, different things. Maybe like there is a greater weightage to this entrance exam on colleges which take admissions through CAT compared to the colleges that focus on GMAT. They probably look for more well-rounded personalities and different aspects of what you have done until that point in your career. So I guess it's a matter of like where you fit in and where you feel you will get the right network, right group of people who can aid your learning and development. So at last, I do want to touch upon an important point that Sanchit sir brought up in his last comment about the alumni. So alumni is an important factor when you decide where you want to go in and do your MBA, because they form a big part of your network, help you grow and help you be successful. So IIIT, as we know, over these decades has also formed like a good alumni base. A lot of us have taken this path of MBA or at least management courses, even even though they not be MBAs. How do we leverage these and this network of alumni that we are developing for IIIT to become like a real force of a body that not only holds its own in the industry, but also guides and inspires the future batches to take up MBA and master in management or whatever you call it as a career path and be successful on this line. So maybe I'll once again return to Abhinav sir for his comments, and then we'll go around.
Thanks, Umang. I really don't know how to answer this question honestly, because it's a very definitive question with a very indefinitive answer. Okay, and so I will let others comment upon it, because my take on all these questions are very different on what we all have been discussing, and I don't want to certainly give a method to it. There is no method to it for sure. So if you're okay, would you like to invite others, and I can then add on to that?
Absolutely. So maybe Mohit sir, we'll start with you then.
Yeah, Umang. Again, I think if you look at alumni base of IIIT, our alums have been doing pretty well both in tech and non-tech segment. But I think for the last few years, what was missing was a formal alumni setup. So I think the process which you guys have started in the last couple of years will help us build a proper alumni base. And as someone said earlier, right, be it MBA or IIIT, the experience, the degree is fine, the education process is fine, but ultimately what matters the most is network, the contact or alumni base. So I think we are on the right path. Yes, we delayed a bit compared to other colleges, but I think this formal setup is a good starting point.
Thanks a lot. Go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just wanting to bring in a point that should this be really a qualifier for making a choice? Because there's any which way so much of a filter in making a choice, where to do MBA from, what to specialize in, which college to go, which year to have that college from. Alumni network I don't think so. It would be a really a break or make qualification filter for doing it. It's whether it's there, it's not there. Its efficacy on one's career, I believe it's yet to be established. Like any other institutions where alumni does make a difference, which is more seen specifically in medical or even in the administrative services. We are into professional courses. I believe alumni network does impact, but at the end of the day, the flow of the opportunities, helping people to get to those opportunities, is really a function of how well you know somebody and how very well can you vouch for somebody's capability or not, because it's eventually the reputation on the line, even though he or she belongs to value. So hence I just avoided coming in definitively on this question, Uman, please don't take me wrong, because there's so much of a filter already on everybody to decide where to do anything.
No, totally, sir. It's a very nice perspective, according to me, actually, because as you mentioned, you were like the first batch and did not really have the choice of reaching out to alumni. So you were among the folks who actually navigated through and created their own path, which is also what some of us would personally want to take up in general, right? It kind of has its own sense of satisfaction when you are creating your own path, and I totally agree with you on that. So yeah, it's a very nice thing to have two totally like opposite perspectives, and I think it's good that we have these opinions in our present panel as of now. Maybe let's take the same opinion from other folks here as well. So maybe like Kamini ma'am, over to you.
So yeah, I think as Abhinav sir said, there's not like a definitive solution. But one thing that comes to my mind, like maybe we can start like a mentorship program if that works out. Like alumni who are in the business field and like eager, they look forward to like working or motivating the current cohort. As in, I would love to, because when I was there, I did not have that opportunity, right? So I would love to, for those who are keen and interested, to mentor someone, to help them jot their path, right? How can like they make their own story. So definitely a mentorship program is something that we can think about. And also I feel that in like at least when I was in college, we did have like programming competition, a lot of competitions based on coding and programming, but nothing as per which will help us to develop our personality. So can we organize like more clubs or events or programs or something which helps on people to build their personality? So even like when our students they appear for interviews, how well they're prepared in order to be presentable in front of the interviewer, or how like I know like from my time, I think a lot of the boys they have never spoken like to the girls ever in the batch. So I think this is the big factor. And when they go join the corporate world, they have to work with all kind of people. So how do we work on establishing, enhancing the personality of everyone who joins the program, right? And not just like what happens is like those who are good, they remain good and they get all the like opportunities. But those who are shy, they are like a little behind. They just remain like that. So maybe if we can have more forums where people can work on their overall personality development, and of course mentorship program is something that comes to my mind.
Yeah, that's a good point, Kamini ma'am. So here we get a third perspective for someone who didn't really get that support and thinks that might help. And I would like to add to it, like in general, that it would also be nice through all these formalized like mentorship programs and all. Would be nice to get a perspective of the after MBA, like what the different specializations are. As like Sanjeev sir had mentioned that he has met some folks who get those specific courses in those specialized fields. Like what really are those? How do you really break it down for a layman who doesn't know anything? Like what is strategy, what is finance, right? Things like these, like specialized information about what this field really means and how that would help you like bring that change in your career you're looking forward to, or help you develop in that direction. I think that would be like a good addition or like a next stage discussion to have. And this is like a very nice forum that all of us got to get together and discuss these things. So yeah, thanks a lot for that. And very quickly, maybe we can take comments from Sanjeev sir and Sanjit sir as well.
Thanks, Ashraf. So I think most people have covered quite a lot, and I personally think as a college alumni, most of us would like to give back to the batches who are just getting out of the college, right? So there's no point if you reach out to 100 people. I'm sure at least 60 of them will reply positively. So it's more of a choice where the college reaches out, and if there is a official mail that can come from a dean or someone, I think you'll get a much better response. And I'll share what IIMs do in India, and they have a phenomenal way to connect with the alums with so many channels. So I think this is where a technical college can take some learning from how B schools do it, because for B schools, as most people said, alumni network is very important for better or worse. But that's the way the things happen. And one of the things that I personally like very much in the initiative that Wharton has done, and it has taken their alumni connect network to a different notch. So what they started a podcast which is very specific podcast series on fintech, where they invite founders from fintech community, and there's a student who does the podcast. So right, so you have to find a student, and you can have a set of students who does that podcast. So this is a wonderful way to prepare interaction with an industry founder who may or may not be from the same college, but you can just find a shortlist and engage with him. And this is one way to kind of give the alumni also something in return, right? Because we tend to just think that we as students want to get from alumni, but it's human nature, right? What's in it for them? You have to think about it whenever you want to build a successful network connect program. So I believe that can be one channel where it can be a podcast or it can be a webinar like this, but it can be a little more formal, little less crowd. You may just have 2 people rather than 5 of us, where a lot of time is wasted listening to others. No offense to anyone, including me, but a short panel which you can do, a monthly or quarterly manner rather than doing once a year can be the way forward. The other thing that I liked was a couple of events that these schools do, which are very specialized events. For example, events on data science, events on strategy pivots, where you find those people who will come and talk about their experience, how they maneuvered a particular business scenario that will benefit audiences to learn those nuances that they will eventually face in the corporate world, rather than doing very generic events. So I think MIT does quite a lot of specialized events like this, where they just invite people who have gone through that life experience in the corporate world and talk about that. So maybe those were a couple of my inputs on how you can build an alumni connect, which can benefit both alumni as well as the current students of the college.
Yeah, great point. Actually, yeah, deep dive sessions to sum it up, basically, like a more frequent basis, I guess. Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, over to you, Sanjit sir.
Yeah, I think Sanjeev has summarized it really well. I think I agree with him that this is something that IIIT can learn from the MBA colleges, because they have really done a good job in this. Couple of points that come to my mind are: A, just keep the current student body of IIIT, whoever is in the final year or in probably the third year, they should take this up, and like every month there should be connects between the alumni base and the current class who's studying there. And this should start right from the first or second year. And they, as he said, there should be specialized agenda-driven connects. And trust me on this, alumni are very happy to contribute back to the college. There are very few alumni who will say no to their own college. So it's just that step one should be just create that alumni base, that directory, and put it up on the IIIT website with logins only to the students and the alums. I think that will help people connect themselves between the alumni and the current class. that is one, and second is obviously you can do deep dive sessions such as resume reviews, you can do industry connects. So the more you facilitate meetings between the alumni and the students, that will help the college, I believe.
And maybe call in a few alumni for giving lectures as well. Now that a lot of our alumni are becoming professors around the world.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So with this, I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you for this wonderful session, this wonderful talk. Great talking to you, learning from you. Despite all of us being from different batches of IIIT, this group felt as diverse as any of the MBA classes that have been. So in that sense, it has been real good, and really glad connecting with so many generations. Thank you.
Thanks, Ashar,
Yeah.
for hosting.
Thanks a lot, everyone, for taking out time and joining in. And I think hopefully it would be helpful for the other audience members here as well. And hope this session gets the ball rolling within this specific domain so that people are like more informed moving forward, right?
Yeah, so thanks a lot for inviting. And a request to the aspiring candidates, like we would love to, help you, but when you approach one of us, I think just have that first thought process in your mind as well, that what kind of answers you want from us, like what exactly you want from us. Don't just come, next day just sending a LinkedIn ping. Come prepared so that we can like help you in a guided manner. Yeah.
Thank you so very much for taking our time, Ashar and Nima. Thanks for driving this as well. Very lovely. Glad that you could come together.
Thanks, Ashar. Thanks, Umang. Thanks, folks.
Thanks, guys. Have a great evening.
Thank you so much, guys. See ya.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Yeah. And yeah, like a quick note, actually, there is some more events lined up on the main session link. So if it's not too late for the people here, like feel free to join there as well. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. All right. I think let's call it a night. Okay. Bye bye.
See you guys. Have a good one.
See you.